Terry Leadership Speaker Series event for 2012. My name is Dale Gosher. I'm the Director of the Institute for Leadership Advancement in the Terry College of Business, and it's our pleasure to bring this event to you. As you came in this morning, at some point you probably saw our corporate partners slide, and we're thankful for those companies that help support us and make these events happen. Let me point out, if you haven't already, take a moment, silence, reminding myself here, silence your phone, put it on vibrate, great, thank you. Let me introduce our student introducer this morning. Morgan Gardner is a senior in management at Terry College. She's a member of the certificate program, the Certificate in Personal and Organizational Leadership. She'll be graduating this spring and is anxious to start her career with Macy's.
Yay!
So Morgan, come introduce our speaker this morning.
As Dr. Gosher already mentioned, my name is Morgan Gardner. I'm a fourth-year management student at the Terry College position. I'm also an Institute for Leadership Advancement certificate student. This summer, I had the opportunity to intern with Macy, so it is an honor to be here today to introduce Mr. Timothy Adams. Can you all hear me okay? Mr. Adams is a native of Atlanta, a Terry alumnus, and a longtime advocate of the retail industry. Let me take a moment and highlight his career for you. In 1976, he became an employee with the now easily recognizable Macy's Incorporated, formerly known as Federated Department Stores Incorporated. Started at Macy's South in Atlanta, he continued his work within the company by being named a merchandise administrator at Macy's West in San Francisco. 9 years later, he increased his successfulness within the company by being named president of the Bon Marché in Seattle. In 2001, he was the chairman and CEO of Macy's Florida in Miami, and was promoted as the chairman and CEO of Macy's Home Store. With ambition as one of the driving forces behind his desire to succeed, now as the Chief Private Brand Officer of Macy's Incorporated, I believe that it's safe to say that he has definitely acquired a passion with Macy's, similar to me. However, I do believe Mr. Adams has advanced from that passion stage to maybe even having a slight obsession with Macy's. I mean, it has been, what, 36 years you've been with the company? That's a long time. Please join me in welcoming the man who is in charge of designing and marketing Macy's portfolio of highly successful private brands in apparel, accessories, and home goods, Mr. Timothy M. Adams.
Thank you. You did a pretty terrific job, huh? That's a good start with you. I want you all to know how excited I am to be here. This is an honor for me. Dean, thank you so much for the invitation. Dr. Gosher, thank you so much for allowing me to do this. Everybody that's here on the faculty and everybody associated with this university, and most especially to all of you for taking the time out of your crazy schedules to come and spend a little time with me. You know, I haven't visited a lot of universities. I went to school here. I came back here for the first time just a few months ago, and it's so incredible how things are in many ways the same, and yet how incredibly different today's environment is. And for me to have a chance to speak with you, the future leaders of business and any enterprise that you all go in, I'll tell you, it's an honor to get a chance to talk a little bit about leadership and some of my experiences that I've had in business. So without further ado, I want to first start with there are so many different definitions of leadership, hundreds of them, but this is what captures, in essence, what I want to talk about today, and that's helping people reach their fullest potential. You know, this isn't about me as a leader. This is about what I've been able to do to help others. And I think that's a really important headset that you all have in terms of your approach to leadership. It's about helping others reach their full potential, and then it's about delivering results on top of that. We don't do it by ourselves. No one individual makes things happen. It's done as a team, and it's really a great leader who can get their team to perform at the highest level. You may hear me use references to sports. I'm a sports addict. I'm a bulldog at heart. My heart is with the dogs on the football season every single Saturday. So the references that I may make today, I hope you'll relate to. So, you know, it's this that I really, really want you to think about is how you bring out the potential in others as a great leader. I want to talk for just a second about just a couple of the fundamentals of leadership, just some core basic things that I think that are important for me to share with you before I get into the principles. I really want to spend the time on the principles of leadership, but there's a few core fundamentals that I want to talk about. First is this point, which is you got to know your stuff. You've got to develop a very strong business acumen to be a good leader. And one piece of advice that I'd like to give you all is as you go out and start your careers, this is about hooking up with a boss, someone that you're going to relate to when you go to work for a company that's going to take you under their wing and really teach you what you've learned here, but adding to that what that business is all about so that you can really accelerate with your business acumen and the knowledge of your business. It's really going to be about how you start with that person, that mentor, that boss who you're going to connect with, you're going to have chemistry with, and that you're really going to come to work every day in your first job, loving to work for this person who's going to teach you. From there, you got to be hungry to learn. You really have to have that appetite in terms of what you're going to bring with your boss to really learning the business, but you're going to be very, very hungry to learn. Just like you're hungry to learn here, that never stops. You're going to be hungry to learn every day. You got to be able to relate to people. I mean, this is really, really important. You've got to like to be in the game, communicating, talking, being in groups. I don't think that's going to be any problem for anybody from the University of Georgia. I can tell you that, but it's something that is really fundamental to what you're going to have to bring to the party when you get there, that enjoyment of communicating and relating to people. You got to execute. You got to be focused, and you got to be driven. That's going to be really important for your company to see in you when you start to work for them. You've really got to know that execution and how you stay focused on your job is going to be, and how you're going to drive against those goals is going to be important for people to see in you. And then lastly, you got to get across the goal line. It's one thing to be in the red zone. It's another thing to get over the goal. And it's one thing to win a game. It's another thing to win the match. And this is very fundamental in terms of a leadership principle that you got to score and you got to make things happen and not just be in that red zone. Okay? So fundamental to the business are these points here. I'd like to now move to really where I want to spend my time, and I got 25 minutes to get through this, so everybody's going to keep me on time, and we're going to have time for questions at the end, and I want to leave questions for the end. So I'll move through this as quickly as I can, but I'm excited to share these principles with you, and most importantly, I'm excited to share some of the experiences that I've had at Macy that work back to some of these principles. So here are the 4 principles that I'm going to talk about. Alignment, leading courageously, teamwork, and developing leaders. To me, those are 4 of the guiding principles, and I can tell you, the subject of leadership is looked through many different lenses. So this is just a bit of my lens. So take it for what it's worth, that I'm sure you've been educated on many other aspects of leadership. So I'm just sharing with you some of the ways that I viewed this through my career. And let's start with alignment, because I think this is a very, very important beginning principle. And from that, here's what I want to talk about as it relates to a story about Macy. So first, to be aligned, you need these 3 points. You need a clear direction. You need, as a leader, to have a vision. You have to be able to get everybody on the same page through what you want to accomplish. You've got to be very clear on that. People have to understand where you're coming from in terms of the direction and vision you have. That is not easy in business today. You have to be a motivator. People have got to be fired up and have what we call an attitude of a 15, not an attitude of a 6 or a 7, but they got to love to come into work every day and be excited to contribute. And you have to be able to coordinate, meaning as a leader, each person has a certain role, and you have to keep everybody operating in that role, doing their function exceptionally well, while feeling a part of the team. So alignment is here. This is a great story about Macy's. Macy's today is the culmination of over 75 different nameplate department stores. And you all can think of some of them, but for us in the older generation, department stores used to be run city by city, department store by department store. The vision that our CEO, Terry Lundgren, had, and he is an ultimate leader and someone who you should, when you see the name Terry Lundgren, know that that's somebody you want to hear about, you want to read about, you want to know what this guy's about. I worked for him. His vision of creating Macy's as a world-recognized brand, Starbucks, IBM, Microsoft, you name it, Ford. This was his vision, to take this, which ultimately got down to these divisions, to then evolve into this, where there were Macy's department stores across the country, but headquartered in these cities, to ultimately this. This, what you see there, a company that's 150 years old, that's 3 years old. One Macy's, 3 years old, committed to building a global brand that is the best retailer in the world. That's our goal. That's what we've been setting out to achieve. And what Terry brought was very, very clear alignment for all of us to know what we were going to set out to do as individuals and what we were then going to set out to do as a team. And we're very proud to say that we've just come through a year at Macy's with some of the most outstanding results, with some of the highest return to our shareholders, and with a stock price that has accelerated one of the most, and maybe the top 3 of all retailers over the last 3 years in terms of where our stock price was 3 years ago and where our stock price is today. And I give a large credit to our leader, Terry Lundgren, for what he did in aligning over 200,000, 300,000 people around how to go about getting this job done and positioning us as one of the world's great retailers and one of the world's great brands. Beyond retailing, our goal is to be a great brand. Leading courageously. This is tough, guys. This is one of the more difficult aspects of leadership that I want to spend a little bit more time on talking to you and sharing a story with you about me and my career on it. So what does it take to lead courageously? Okay, here's where the rubber meets the road a little bit. Confront directly, be decisive, influence others. And might I add that for me personally, this has been one of my biggest challenges as a leader and something that I know I can improve on every single day. This is something that I get feedback on from my team that always says, you know, Tim, here's something that you can do a little bit better. You know, you can do a little bit better on this subject. This process of leadership and learning never stops. never stops. Confrontation is very difficult. It's tough to tell people what they may not want to hear. And remember this, because where your respect and integrity is going to come in as you grow in your life, no matter whether it's business, social affairs, you name it, there's going to be times when you have to tell people things that they do not want to hear. Lots of times people want to spend their time focusing on what people want to hear. That's not going to get you to where you need to be as a great leader. You have to have the facts. You have to communicate and be decisive and clear with your subordinates and with an entire organization, with the facts that you can gather as quickly as the situation calls for, and then make a decision. Be decisive. Be strong, be clear, be bold, and be willing to make change. If you're not willing to make change, you're in trouble. The competition's going to get you. The only way that you can be a true leader is to be committed to change. Nothing is constant except change. And then on top of that, get your facts and make a decision. Making a decision is very hard. You can reflect back just in your own situations here at the university and experience situations, whether it's socially or in class, where getting to that decision and getting to it quickly and feeling great about it is not an easy thing to come to grips with. And then, to put the icing on the cake, you've got to be able to influence those around you to stay with you. Even through talking about things they may not want to hear, even be making those tough decisions, you still have to be the leader, the person that everybody's going to line up and protect your back on, and make sure that they are voicing their support for you, even though this process of leadership in being courageous is not necessarily easy to come by. I was sent to New York 6 years ago to be the forerunner to the One Macy's. They took one piece of the business at Macy's while the company was split up all around the country with the respective divisions, and they put me in charge of the home furnishing store nationally. They took the home store out of all of the divisions in terms of leadership and put it centrally in New York under my leadership. How do you think all of the CEOs of all those divisions felt in all of those places around America when the home store was taken out of their authority and given to New York to run while they ran everything else in the store? I can tell you it was just an unbelievable experience to learn one key message. People want to be in control. The minute you lose control, all of a sudden you don't feel as part of what that organization, what that person, what that event, what those people meant, if you don't have a control over it. And what I went through to try and confront the issues with those respective peers of mine, what I had to do to make decisions about the home store in those stores all around the country, and what I had to do to try and influence those people in all those divisions to still treat the home store the way it always was under all of the leadership of those separate divisions, was something that tested my mettle like nothing in my whole career. And I'm very happy to say that we got to the One Macy's because the home store did not fail. the home store did well, and that the people who came through this experience are some of the leaders in the One Macy's today through this tough experience that I led us through, and something that I'm very proud to share with you all in terms of that effort there. And you still might say, well, why did people say that he doesn't lead courageously? This one is tough when it comes to confrontation. I'm not, as a general rule, someone who likes to get in people's face and really confront issues really strongly. I kind of like to work my way through things, but you got to find that right balance as a leader, and I'm still working on finding that right balance. So we got through this. I'm proud to say that I survived that. I moved to New York from Miami thinking that I might be there for a year or two, because this was not, I didn't necessarily think that I could get through this with all I had heard about it, but I gave it a shot. I got through it, and I'm happy to still say I'm in New York and enjoying it very much. So here we go. That's the home store experience. I shared this little slide because one of our great private brands at Macy's is Hotel, a hotel collection of sheets and towels and bedding. This brand, Hotel, in my opinion, is the best textile brand in the world. So when you're in a Macy's, go look at Hotel, because I'm very proud of what we built here. And if you buy it, it's even better. Even better. Give it as a gift. Teamwork. This is a natural. You all know that this is in leadership. This is about as fundamental as it gets. But you got to get the alignment, and you got to get that courageousness to you. Now you start to build the momentum, and now you're getting into this teamwork aspect. And here's what's so important about the team. It's so funny in our business, when business is bad, business is challenging. We have a bad day, you have a bad day. If I'm the buyer for the business, I like to say, well, gee, the planning group didn't do that well, or the stores group kind of didn't do something in the stores as well as they should, or the advertising department didn't run the ad the right way like I envisioned it. For some reason, we all in this team, we kind of like to point the finger the other way, But the key is here, role identity. Accountability. Accountability. Start with what you do as part of the team. Take responsibility for your role in how the performances occur. And know that in a business, with the leader, what you're really working on doing is your job, exceptionally well, that sets the bar for all of those other people around you. And then you deliver, and you focus first on what you didn't do and what you did do to have an outstanding performance, and then worry about the rest of your teammates. Start with yourself, and then bond with your team. And know that one of the key things in teamwork is that each person has to have that role that makes the whole team outstanding. So the quarterback is great, but the quarterback, they could be the best quarterback in the world. If they don't have the offensive line, they're never going to be as good as they could, etc., etc., etc. It's important that you start with yourself, you realize your role with the team, you identify with that, you're proud of that, you drive that, and you stand tall on giving them, as a leader, the empowerment, the trust. Trust that the people who you're with are going to do what they do as good or better than what you do. And that's empowerment. That's not trying to do somebody else's job. It's giving that trust to them to be able to make that happen. And then cohesion, respect. Respect of your teammates, feeling that they are right with you every step of the way, and that when you have respect amongst the team, that's when you reach the ultimate in teamwork. You could be a team, and you can misfire on any one of those, and you're not going to deliver the optimal results in anything you do. Understand your role, trust your teammates, and give them all the respect in the world that you want of yourself. This is what I do today. This is what I lead today. I lead what's called the Macy's Merchandising Group. We are the biggest vendor to Macy's. So think of what I do as being Ralph Lauren for Macy's, only running 20, 25 brands for Macy's, not just a single brand. We have the brands in women's apparel from Inc. to Charter Club to Style & Co. to our brand new brand Bar 3 for all of you ladies in the audience and the guys in the audience, a brand called Bar 3, very millennial, very young, very hip, very happening, doing fantastically well. And throughout then the men's business, the accessories business, the home business, you name it, we design, then we source in factories all over the world, then we deliver the product to Macy's, and then we sell it through to you all. Well, this team of about 1,100 people all over the world have certain roles to play, and we're scattered everywhere. We have to trust every step along the way. There's up to 100 steps in what we have to do to make one piece of a product. 100 different steps to make sure that it's done correctly. And then we've got to respect everybody on our team to make that happen. I just went off site with our senior management team 2 weeks ago to work on the subject of teamwork. Because as good as we are in what we do, we weren't working optimally as a team. Why? Because the leaders of who work for me, who are so fantastic and so strong and so passionate, sometimes get so focused in their silo that they're not reaching out necessarily to be as empowering, as communicative, and as respectful as they can sometimes be. We always have to call time out and remind ourselves of how important teamwork is, and how no matter how good you are, you can do it better. It doesn't matter, whoever wins the Super Bowl on Sunday, when a week of celebration is done, they will be back saying, how are we going to do things better next year to get back to the Super Bowl? And that's what we go through at MMG. We go through an enormously complicated series of processes to keep our team in place and keep operating at the highest level. Lastly, developing leaders. This is so important, guys. This is the essence of what the definition of leadership, as I gave it to you, is all about. It's about helping others reach their fullest potential. That's what a leader does. Helps others. So, you assess the talent. You make sure that you have a talent pool that is not like you. You want to surround yourself with different people. You want to surround yourself with different points of view. You want conflict. You want people who are decisive and talking about subjects that you may not be agreeing with. You want the best people that you can surround yourself and get them on your team. You need to give them feedback all the time. There's a thing called a review, an annual review. We get reviewed annually. If you walk in a review and you're hearing something for the first time, that is the biggest sin you can ever have, a mortal sin. You cannot hear for the first time feedback on something that you're just not getting every day, every week, every month. Critical to leadership is the ability to provide feedback all the time. And importantly, the succession planning process. To be able to get you all promoted. The leader spends an inordinate percent of my time is spent on how I can figure out how to get the people that are working for me promoted. Because if they get promoted, they did an outstanding job. And that's what a leader does, is spend their time figuring out how they're going to get their people promoted. Inclusion. That's the message from this point here about this subject of making sure that everybody feels that when you're developing as a leader and you're looking at talent, that you're getting people from every ethnicity, every age, every preference that you can imagine to be a part of your team and to be part of the whole talent assessment process. This is what MMG and Macy is all about. People from every background brought together as a team. Inclusiveness is at the root and the core of what Macy's feels its values are all about. And I don't think that's dissimilar to any great company and to any great leadership organization in the world today. This is what it's made of. And sometimes I wish I could see a few more guys in there. You know, our business is dominated by females. Dominated. And that's great. We love this as a career for women. We also love it as a very, very, very viable career for men as well. And guys, you can have a great story in the business of retail. It's a very, very exciting business. I want to spend a minute now, if I can, to just 3 minutes on something that is the manifesto of Macy's. I think you might find this enjoyable, and then I'll wrap with a couple of comments and questions, and then we'll talk for a minute.
This is a story about the Great American Department Store. In 1866, at the struggling, unfashionable intersection of 6th Avenue and 14th Street in New York City, Roland H. Macy appointed a new manager to his small retail store. Her name was Margaret Getchell, and she gave a few words of advice to her salespeople. But it was more than just advice. It was the secret formula to making magic. She said, be everywhere, do everything, never fail to astonish the customer. That's how we make the magic of Macy's. The magic of Macy's is the kind of magic that fills a city block with millions of flowers. The kind that sends massive balloons soaring down Broadway, or celebrates the nation's birthday by lighting up the sky. By being everywhere, doing everything, and astonishing our customers, we've transformed a dry goods store into one of the world's great companies. But if we are to continue to be great, we can't be satisfied with the success of our last 150 years. We have to look forward and be restless. We need to reinvent the magic of Macy's for the next 150 years. And we will do that by following Mrs. Getchell's sage advice. We will be everywhere. We're changing ourselves from a multi-channel retailer into an omni-channel retailer. The magic of Macy's won't just be found in the store down the street. It will be on phones, tablets, in our customers' homes, anywhere and everywhere they are. We're also playing a larger role in our local communities, giving our time and our resources back to the places across the country where we live and work. We will do everything. No longer will we treat a customer in Boston the same way we treat a customer from Bakersfield. Through the My Macy's initiative, we're changing our merchandise to reflect everyone's different wants and needs. The next time our customer walks into her Macy's, she'll find powerful assortments, the best brands, more star designers, and fashions tailored just for her. Online, she'll find recommendations to suit her personal taste. She'll think we've read her mind. Above all else, we will astonish our customers. Through the Magic Selling Program, we're retraining every one of our hundreds of thousands of associates. We've taught them to listen, to take action, to step beyond their day-to-day tasks, to do whatever it takes to make her happy, because she is at the center of all our decisions. There's a lot of work that's been done, and there's a lot of work to be done. But if we continue to be everywhere, do everything, and never fail to astonish the customer, we'll help millions of customers every day to find their own magic. Find your magic. That's the magic of Macy's.
I personally get goosebumps about that, because when you've spent 30 some odd years, with one company, and you see, when I went to work for Davison's department store, which was in Atlanta, and there were 10 stores, and we did $150 million as a total company.
This is a story about the great American department.
And we could see it again. I'd love to see it again. From that beginning, and now being a part of a $25 billion company, and seeing what we've accomplished as a team, and the leadership that's occurred each and every step along the way, from the founding fathers that were back 150 years ago to what's happened in the history of Macy's to today. It's something that I'm very proud of, and something that I'm very proud to be a part of, to see what has been accomplished and to play a small role in what this is all about as we look to our future. Because it's not about the rear view mirror, it's really about leadership and leading where we go in the future, and how Macy's becomes that world global brand. I'm spending a lot of time now. I've been assigned to think about Macy's going international. I've been spending a lot of time in China. I've been looking at trying to see, can Macy's succeed in China? Can we open an e-commerce business there? Can we start to really think of ourselves beyond the borders of America? We have a store in Guam. We have a store in Puerto Rico. We have a Bloomingdale's store in Dubai that's doing exceedingly well. And so, if you didn't know, Bloomingdale's is part of the Macy's company. That helps us too, being part of Bloomingdale's, because they're a fantastic store as well that we learn a lot from. So leadership is about driving forward, and I'm excited about that. I would close with just this one point, and that is, these are 4 words that I want you all to think about. And I want you to really take away from this, in terms of just trying to close and bring all this together, in terms of what my message was. And that is, you need vision. You've got to be looking forward. You've got to have a goal. You've got to be thinking about where you're headed. Passion is so vitally important in everything I said today. You have to bring that 15 attitude to whatever you do when you leave this university. You got to go out and really bring your enthusiasm, your personality, who you are, to the world in which you go in. And people love to feel your passion. That is so incredibly important as a leader, I cannot tell you. And just passion, the way you define it, is what's important, not how somebody else defines it. You define it the way you want to define it, and you go out and you make that word happen for you. I guarantee you, you'll be a good leader. You've got to have determination. You've got to be willing and wanting to score. You've got to get across the goal line. The red zone doesn't count to the ultimate of leadership. You've got to get over the goal line, and you've got to be intuitive. You've got to have a gut that tells you what to do. It's not going to be in the textbooks. It's not going to be anywhere but inside you. As a leader, you're going to have to make calls. You're going to have to do things in your career that are going to come from your intuition. It's not going to come from any other place other than right here in your gut and your heart. And you do that, and I guarantee you, you do these 4 things well, backed into all of the fundamentals and principles that I talked about, and you all will be not just standing here, 20 or 30 years from now. You'll be standing someplace even higher than where I'm privileged to be today, and that's in front of you all. So thank you very much, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to do this. I appreciate it very much. It means a lot to me to come back to my alma mater and have a chance to be in front of you all. I'm very, very privileged to be doing this. Very humble. Thanks. How about a question or two? Anybody? It's hard to be first. Great.
What makes Macy stand out from other stores? What makes your product so stand out?
Our people is very, very important, and the talent of our organization. We feel like it all starts with people in anything, and all of this that's come together. And I think we have the brightest and the best in the business that then allows us to bring the product to the selling floor that is unique and different and priced very well with great value, and to have associates who have the passion to want to sell it and to be able to make our sales and results happen. But it starts with people. Yes?
At the beginning, you talked about like looking up to the boss who mentor you.
Yes.
What's one of the first important lessons you learned from the boss you have?
I think it was a little bit of the subject of passion. Yeah, the subject of attitude and really loving what you do. And I think that got instilled for me. One of my first bosses and mentors would take me to the selling floor. And the way he would talk to me about the product was that product was was just so exciting to him. And he would ask me all these questions that I would have no idea how to answer. And I felt so stupid. I just didn't even know what to say. But he kept challenging me in terms of, to think more about it. And he would, and we connected in that regard. And I just think it's the passion and the excitement and what you bring to the business and what he brought and how I connected with that. Yeah.
So you've been with Macy's for over 30 years, and certainly they've gotten a lot of value from having you there that long. The chunk of, or the part of leadership that you said developing leaders, do you see that changing at all as it becomes rare that people stay with the same company for that long?
No, I think the principles all hold, and I know in this generation, this is just not how the game is played, where people come and work for companies for 30 years. That's very, very much an exception. And we, as leaders, know that what we hope we can do is give someone like yourself a multitude of experiences within Macy's that keeps you feeling like you're going to different companies. Our goal is, if you can, any company wants to keep you for 30 years because we hired you because we think you're outstanding. We don't want you to leave. We know it's going to be an uphill battle because we know that you all will be looking for other experiences. But if we can listen to you and understand what you need and follow you along the way, we have a chance to keep you for 30 years. It's not a great track record on that in today's environment, but with that attitude that we have, we think our people respect us for that. So, same principles, better understanding of this generation, and all we can do is the best we can do. How about one more question? I think I have time for one more question.
Coupons.
2 more. Okay.
Coupons.
I'm sorry?
Coupons.
2 more? Coupons. Well, coupons. Customers love coupons. It's very interesting. JCPenney's is going out with a whole new campaign right now and letting everybody know how they're not going to do coupons anymore. They're just going to offer fair and square. It's going to be the price. Not going to have any sale. It's going to be, here it is. We'll see how they do. I think it's going to be very interesting. I give them a lot of credit for trying something new, different, and exciting. We happen to listen to our customer who tells us they love their coupons. Yes.
I guess like since you came in at Macy starting out at the bottom, what factor, I guess, if you could pick one or two that differentiated and helped propel you to the top of where, because obviously you've been very successful in the company compared to other people that started out
Yeah.
at the bottom.
So the question was, when I started a long time ago, what was the difference in me than maybe other people that didn't get as far? And I would just simply say luck. Luck. I think that there was no reason why I should be here than the other people that started. It just is, there's a lot of timing in the way the game is played, to just sort of being at the right place at the right time, that just happens to work in one's favor. There's just not that much difference in people. I mean, if you buy into all of this and stay with it, there's lots of people that buy into this and stay with it. And if you just keep at it and you get lucky and be at the right place at the right time and take advantage of that. And I always said I was lucky, and people said, but you made the luck happen. So if you just kind of stay with it and stay focused and stay connected on these principles, good things happen to you. And I think that's what happened to me. Okay, guys, this was great. I had a ball. Thank you so much.